We're back with more of the Instigators, presented by Seneca Resorts and Casinos. Nothing else comes close.
All right, our next guest is literally taking a break from the conference final game that I'm watching on TV right now against the Toronto Maple Leafs to join us. He wears number 80 from Hay River, which I'm led to believe is just a river of hay, but we're not entirely sure. Geoff Sanderson, and I believe that is, I don't believe, I know, because my brother spelled the same way. It's Geoff Sanderson. How's it going, Geoff?
Hey, guys, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to be had. Listen, I got to tell you, we are watching you on TV just whipping around. I mean, the Sabres down here. Where are you right now, first of all?
Well, I'm in Whitefish, Montana right now at my my summer cabin where I've spent every summer since 1993. So we're just kind of quarantining ourselves down here right now.
Well, we're watching, on the Sabres are running a series of classics, and right now we're watching the 99 playoff run, and you guys are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. And what can you tell us just about that year, the first thing that comes to mind? I'm actually watching a highlight of you right now drive the net, being hooked by number 3, and then you one-handed score. It was Cote tried to hook you, and then it's literally on the TV right now, and you one-handed. I was there with Steve Bartlett that night too, by the way.
Yeah, that's funny. I was some of you must have been replaying because I was getting some text messages just replaying that goal. Honestly, all I can remember is that we won the series, and I can remember how exciting that whole playoff series was against Toronto and the hype. And we just kind of steamrolled, and we had a really a skilled, not a bunch of superstars, but some hardworking speed guys, and we had. Probably the most important part that we had is we had the best player in the world, the most valuable player in net for us in the most important position. So took us all the way to the finals.
Now, how would you have felt if that player, are you watching this Last Dance?
I am watching the Last Dance. That's funny you say that. Yeah.
Have you seen, did you watch number 5 and 6 last night?
I did, yes. You bet. Family.
So how would you feel if Hasek came rolling in at 2:30 in the morning, night before a conference final?
Well, they did a good job of downplaying that last night, but talk about violating the number 1 rule and code, and that wouldn't fly in hockey. I mean, I don't think his teammates would defend him or even put up with it. I mean, especially your best player. I mean, to me, that's, I could imagine if back in '99, if Ron Brady or Barnaby or Hasek even heard of one of their teammates staying out that late, there would be a confrontation on the ice the next morning.
So wait, go ahead, Riv. Go ahead.
This is great. This is great because this is a hockey player here. He's in the conference finals, and we talked about this earlier in the show. And I said to Petey, this is not going to fly in hockey. There is going to be a lot of very ticked off people. And like, how would you feel? Like, what would happen in the dressing room the next day if you guys found out through the media that Dominic Hasek came in at 2:30 in the morning the night before a conference final game?
I think you just answered that.
Well, I don't. You know what? I don't know. I don't know if Razor would beat the crap out of him the next morning, but it would be on his list. Like, when the season's over, I'm going to beat the crap out of this guy, because I guarantee you, though, if it wasn't Dominic Hasek, like say it was me, and I was out till 3 in the morning, I know that Razor would grab me the next practice and feed me so many lefts that I'd be begging for a right. I mean, just because Dom was our player, he was our superstar. I mean, if that happened, I know Razor would, he'd maybe talk to him, but I know it would happen eventually next practice. But there's not much you can do during a finals playoffs like Jordan did, but it would be on his list for sure.
You came in the 90-91 NHL season. You were full-time 91-92. I mean, we're watching Michael Jordan smoke on the way to a game. Like, did you play with guys that smoked?
You know what? when I played in Columbus, we drafted a Russian kid really high. I'm not going to say his name, but he was young, and he did. The first thing I remember, I'm like, we're out taking him out for dinner, and he went out for a dart, and he was a young player, and maybe that was just kind of growing up where he was, but he was smoking a dart, and actually played with Ally Afraidy at an All-Star game. I can't remember the year, and he used to he lit up a dart in between periods, maybe curving a stick or something. But there's not many guys that can pull that off in hockey.
I played with a guy in junior that was drafted by San Jose, and he went to camp, and Ally Afraidy was still there. Okay, he said he went out to curve his stick, and a lot of kids, your kid might not even know what curving a stick means these days. And I'd like to ask you about your son coming up, but he's out there curving his stick, and out comes Ally Afraidy, and he said that Ally Afraidy lit a cigarette with the blowtorch. He said he'd never seen anything like it.
I heard those same rumors, and like I said, it was at some All-Star game, and sure enough, it's the first time I ever met him, and in between periods, he's out in the hall doing his thing. I don't know how he pulled it off. I really don't. He was a freak athlete. I just can imagine, how much stronger his lungs would have been if he didn't smoke.
You don't need your lungs to rip a clapper, apparently.
Exactly. Yeah, but he was a beast on the ice too. I don't know how he did it. There's not many guys. Even in my junior career, I can't think of any guys who smoked. Even through the NHL, you guys maybe have a cigar at the Super Bowl party or something, or celebrate someone's, wedding or birth of their kid. But to be a full-time smoker playing in the NHL, that just does not add up.
That voice right there is Geoff Sanderson, number 80 on the 98, 99, and a little bit of the 99-2000 season. I'm just pulling up your DB page here. If it looks like you might have wanted to ask a question, but
insane stats. We played against each other a little bit throughout our time in the NHL, and it's just you're 700 points in the National Hockey League, over 1,100 games. I'm looking at, you played for Hartford Whalers, which have possibly the best unis ever. What was one of your favorite places to play? You played in Hartford, Carolina, Vancouver, Buffalo, Columbus, Winnipeg, Phoenix, Philly, Edmonton. Was there a city to you that you loved to play in?
Well, you guys know, it's not about the city you play in. When I look back on my career, and I'm going way back here, it's what you remember, the memorable games that you played in. And, for me, the most memorable games I played in were in Buffalo. Those 3 seasons that I was there, we went deep in the playoffs, came so close to winning the Stanley Cup, and all those other teams, at Hartford, we made the playoffs my first year, and we lost to Montreal in the first round. So, you remember the playoff games. 700 regular season games, you don't remember those. You remember those few important playoff games or series that you played in. And for me, that was Buffalo. And, I really loved my time there. It's a great place to play. The city is so convenient. The fans are rabid. And, I'm not just saying that because, we went to the finals. Playing in Hartford, we had such bitter rivals against playing in Hartford, against our teams that we played against in Buffalo. I used to hate playing against Rob Ray and Kenny Sutton and Barnaby and those guys. And then when I get traded there, me and Razor, I still text with them to this day. And, loved our time there and loved being in Buffalo. Me and my wife always say, if we played in Buffalo later in my career when we had our kids, how they went through minor hockey and school, that living in, Williamsville, New York would have been just a perfect place to live.
Well, we're talking to Geoff Sanderson right now. I could go all day with you, just go over the years. Number one, I used to Hartford wasn't great back in the early 90s, but they were great in Sega because they had so many fast players. You being one of them, Robert Cron was another. Right? So, I could talk to you about that all day. People would always ask me, why would you pick the Hartford Whalers? Because I said, you only need 5 players. You're not editing lines and changing lines. They got the fastest team in the whole game. You were one of the guys. But you mentioned your son. and about raising him and whatever. And he's born and raised in Whitefish, Montana. Where is it Whitefish?
Yes.
Did I say that right? Yeah, Whitefish. Tell me about him. I mean, interesting year for him. He's got a draft potentially coming up sooner than he thought. A season cut short. Projected to go very high in the draft. I watched some of his games this year. Saw him play Canisius. Watched him play in the All-American Prospects game. He won Player of the Game. I mean, tell me about your son. I mean, he's playing defense, which you were a forward. I mean, how has this been? It's been a whirlwind of a year for him and yourself as a father.
Well, he's had a real interesting journey. I mean, he was born in Whitefish, Montana during an off season, and he played minor hockey in Columbus, a little bit in Phoenix, and then finally when I retired back here in Whitefish, we moved to Calgary. He played some minor hockey in Calgary, so he really split time between Canada and the USA. He played a year, and the U.S. National Development Team, wanted him to try out, and we knew nothing about it. Just being a Western Canadian guy, I didn't know anything about it. So we, they bring you down. We did the tryout, and they give you a couple weeks to decide. So I talked to the coaches, I talked to Jake, talked to Ellen, my wife, and, we figured, why not? I mean, this is a great option. If you want to play hockey at the highest level and get, world-class training, you can always come back to Alberta and play in the Alberta Junior League too, Jake. But he chose to go to the program, and, I can honestly say it's been the experience of his life. I mean, the coaches there, the coaching that he got is probably better than any coaching that we got during our NHL careers. Their off-ice training, mentorship, it's been a great experience for him. And just the whole draft stuff, and I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations on what he was going to do. Like I said, you're right, he's a defenseman, so obviously didn't get any of that from me. But from Christmas basically till now, he's just had an upward trajectory that's been unbelievable. It's been impressive to watch. And I've been watching from a distance. I go in there once in a while and catch a game or go to one of the tournaments. But, the job that Seth Appert and Nick Four have done at that program and I sent him there as a boy, and, he came back in March. He's just grown so much and matured. And his on-ice game, I mean, it's really been impressive. So what's going to happen in the draft, I have no idea. I mean, it's, you see all those projections and draft, every NHL team's got their own list. They've got Central's list. So we don't really know where he's going to end up. Hopefully Buffalo.
Yeah, right. Obviously with you playing so long in the National Hockey League, your son moving away from home, being coached by different players, how much communication did you have with your son trying to guide him and kind of like almost let him know, the ups and downs that are going to happen throughout him moving away, going to a higher level? How much has he relied on you to give him guidance?
Well, going from Calgary to Michigan, it's a long ways to go, but I just told him, I said, Jake, it doesn't matter. Most guys that play hockey at your age, they got to go somewhere. I said, there's very few guys that get to stay in their hometown and play junior. Most guys got to go somewhere. And, we can get to Michigan, no problem. We get there quick. I told him my story when I played junior in Swift Current. We had a really strong team, a really veteran team. And I wanted to quit at Christmas time. Like, I wanted to come home and play with my friends. We've been playing midget hockey back in St. Albert. My dad said, there's no way you're coming home. So basically, I remember coming home from Christmas and not wanting to go back to school. I did stick it out, and it turned out to be a great experience. I just kind of, relayed that to Jake, like, listen, you're going to go through some hard times. You're going to get homesick. You're going to miss your brothers. You're going to miss your friends. This is just part of the sacrifice you're going to make. So, and he's done it. He had a great first season. Didn't really get super homesick, a little bit, and the second season, he can't wait to get back there. I mean, he's just waiting for Michigan to open up their quarantine rules, and so he can go back there and train.
Now, we're talking to Geoff Sanderson right now, obviously a member of some of those very important Sabre teams. We'll argue that the 99 team might be better than the 05, 06, or 06, 07 team another time. But talking about his son, Jake, who's very highly touted and will be a high draft pick in the draft, this upcoming draft, which is going to be moved closer earlier in June, I should say. And I guess because it's such a unique year, we've all been through the draft process. Geoff, a second rounder, myself, Riv, what has the draft process been? Has he been doing a lot of Zoom calls or some kind of communication interviews with general managers? Has there been any kind of fitness testing that he's supposed to relate back? I mean, what's the process been like for these young prospects?
Well, I think the scouts have got so much time on their hands now that they are doing their research. I know he has done a ton of Zoom calls, and most of the GMs that he talks to are on the line with probably 4 or 5 other of their scouting staff. There's been no fitness testing. I think that they're, this is just my opinion, just from what I'm learning from what they're doing with Jake, is that, they are researching who he used to train with. They're talking to his ex-trainers and his current trainers to get a feel for, I guess, what kind of athlete he is, or I'm not sure. But it's unfortunate they can't do the combine testing, but they are making it up for it with all the Zoom calls and that stuff.
You just send a little email over saying, don't forget who his dad is, or what? Meaning genetically?
No, he's a different athlete than I was. I was only good for about 30 seconds. He's got lungs that can go for, a minute.
What was your last question for you? Your best year in the NHL, your favorite year, your most memorable year, with other than 99 going to the finals?
My favorite season, without the Stanley Cup final team, honestly, probably this is not, take the hockey away, but the first year that we went, that Columbus came in, I was in the expansion draft there, and it was a really exciting season being part of that. Obviously we didn't win, we didn't make the playoffs, but just seeing the excitement and the energy in the rink, it was comparable to playing in Buffalo during that 99 season, just how passionate the fans were. Obviously we didn't make the playoffs, but it was a very exciting time to play in the NHL during that expansion year.
And what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm sitting in Whitefish, Montana, and kind of wait for things to open up and eventually go back to Canada. I'm involved in a couple of oil and gas ventures in Calgary, and you can imagine how those are doing right now. So I'm just basically in a holding pattern like everybody else.
Anything involved in hockey?
Am I involved in hockey? I've been coaching minor hockey for the past 11 years. I have 3 boys, so I think I coached Pee Wee. I think I coached Pee Wee AAA for like 7 years in a row as all my kids kind of went through it. So this was the first minor hockey year where I didn't volunteer as a full-time coach. So I still have one. My youngest son is midget age now, so I'm not sure if I'll be helping out his team next year or not.
You two guys can understand each other's pain. Riv lives the same life, man. He coaches 2 teams a year for the last, I don't know, however many years he's been retired.
God. That's more than a full-time job. People don't realize, with minor hockey parents and the coordinating of practices, practice plans, if you want to do it right, it is a full-time job. And I actually missed it this year, not coaching. I missed the tournaments and the having kids, coaching them on the ice. I missed it this year.
Great stuff. Well, Rivs understands all that, and thank you to Steve Bartlett for putting us in touch. I appreciate you getting back to us, and all the best going forward. We'll keep an eye out for Jake.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon here, hopefully at summer.
Yeah, I look forward to it, Geoff. Thanks very much for your time.
All right. Thanks, you guys.